Transfer talk, ladies and gentlemen. So, the big one, I suppose, the one that has Liverpool fans talking, and the one that you guys are talking about today is, of course, Dominic
Szoboszlai.
The agent of the playmaker of Salzburg, Dominic
Szoboszlai.
has been talking about the possibility of the player moving in January, and here's what he had to say. Obviously, it's no secret that Dominic is now closer to leaving the Austrian league. We're seeing that every time he gets a good game. Unfortunately, it's happening after that. The rumours are getting stronger. Whether it's in January or next summer, the important thing is that he goes to a club where he'll have a good chance of playing regularly and continuing the learning curve that he started in Salzburg. That's the most important thing for us. I pronounced that name perfectly as well, didn't I? You know me, with pronunciations, usually I get them wrong, but I brought the A game today, folks. Do you know what I mean? You give me any name you want, throw in as many Z's and S's as you can, and I'll not knock it out of the park, ladies and gentlemen. So, look, it is really good to see Liverpool linked with a player as good as Dominic
Szoboszlai.
And I'm not going to lie, he's a quality player, and he's scoring some great goals. Scored some big goals for Hungary as well recently. Hungary qualified, of course, for the Euros via the playoff, which was a great night for them, coming from 1-0 down. And it's believed that the player has a buyout clause of around £23 million in his current contract. And I like the links to him. Now, would an attacking midfielder be at the very top of our list of positions that we need to bring somebody in? Probably not. But why not? Why not? If he's available for 23 million quid and he's as good as he seems to be. Jesse Marsh was talking about him as well, and whether it's January or it's in the summer, this kid will move on from Salzburg. He's a very good footballer, and I've got to be honest and say that I didn't know much about this guy until very, very recently. I'm talking within the last 6 weeks anyway, and as I've looked into it and as I've seen clips of him, he looks like the real deal. He looks like a quality footballer, and 23 million quid, if that's his release clause, that's very reasonable. Rumours that Bobby tested positive. Any update? Again, mate, I don't do rumours, so I won't put out any information that I can't stand over, and I have no sources credible enough to say that that's true. I also can't say with absolute certainty that it's not true, but I always err on the side of bullshit in these scenarios. So, Dylan, I'm hoping it's bullshit, mate. But I'll call bullshit on it, but we'll go from there. So what do we think about this guy, Dominic
Szoboszlai?
Do we like him, folks? Is he Big Dom, as Connor's calling him there? What are we thinking? Something that we can do? I don't know if we'll do it in January. If we were to do anything in January, you would assume that it'll be a centre-back that's top of the list. At least for me, a centre-back should be top of the list in January. And on that moves us rather nicely on to Daya Upamecano. Bayern Munich have been strongly linked with this guy recently, but we have seen director of Salzburg, or former director of Salzburg, Ralf Rangnick, come out and say that he thinks that Daya Upamecano will end up eventually at Bayern Munich, or at least he can see a reasonable way where he'd end up at Bayern Munich. But to play into that a little bit further, Bayern Munich won't be dipping into the transfer market for a centre-back until David Alaba leaves the club. So will that give Liverpool, Manchester United or whoever else a bit of a head start? If Alaba decides that he's not going to move on in January, if he finishes out to the season at Bayern Munich, or if he agrees a new deal with Bayern Munich, then that really puts Daya Upamecano into play even more. He's the one that I think most Liverpool fans would have at the top of their list of potential targets. We do know, as I was talking about with Mark last night, that he has a £40 million release clause that kicks in the summer. So if you're to go in and get him in January, you probably have to pay a premium there. And yes, he's a good centre-back. Yes, he will be world-class. But he's not there yet. It is important to remember that with Daya Upamecano. Wherever he goes, he's still going to need to progress, and he's not the finished article. So I think wherever he ends up, he'll need to be coached. And I think if he ends up with Liverpool, Klopp will turn him into a great player. I'm really intrigued by all of this. And I suppose that leads me into talking about David Alaba. And I'm not convinced that David Alaba is a signing that Klopp is looking to make, particularly in January. The price is around €30 million, and add to that his very hefty wage and his 28 years of age as well. I just don't see that it's a Liverpool signing. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Now, I know people are going to be calling me an idiot and saying that it's eminently doable, the price is there, but you have to also factor into the account that he wants to go play in Spain. He wants to play at Real Madrid or Barcelona. At least that's what's been put out there from his camp. You can't rule out the likes of Juventus maybe coming in and trying to make a play for him. And Mark said last night when I was talking with him that United could be in for David Alaba. I just don't think strategically, the way Liverpool go about their transfers, that we will make a reactionary signing like David Alaba, because we could have gotten him in the summer. And if Jurgen Klopp really wanted him, he was there in the summer. Now, I just think it's just laziness with some people trying to put two and two together and make four. doesn't make sense to me. Now, of course, things can change, but I will stand over what I've always said. I believe Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool will be looking to get the person that's number 1 or 2 on their list, somebody they've been tracking for 18, 24 months, because we don't do things like that. We don't make reactionary signings. It's not the Liverpool way. Thiago was a little bit different because a world-class player at the very top of his game just happened to be available to be gotten very cheap, so we acted. It's one of the few times I can remember under FSG that we've reacted in somewhat of a reactionary way, but it was only because a special player became available. So look, what do you guys think around the transfer situation? What do you think around the centre-back situation? We can talk about the article that David Ornstein put out in The Athletic that suggested that maybe Liverpool won't do anything in the January window, that maybe we'll look to stay with the plan, stay with what was put in place and move to the summer and get Klopp's number 1 or number 2 target. So again, it's all up in the air. I mean, you hear these things come out and sometimes you think maybe the club's trying to keep things quiet. Sometimes you think, well, maybe there is some truth to it. I just don't see how or why we try and get through this season without signing somebody in January and paying an extra few quid to get the player the Klopp wants. But I guess time will tell on that one, folks. Wait, what else we got? Have we mentioned Firmino? It's not confirmed, mate, and we don't do if, ands or maybes on here. Until we get a confirmation on Roberto Firmino, I'm not going to feed into the bullshit conjecture. If it's true, it's true, and I'll report it. If it isn't true, I'm not going to be on here saying he is or isn't, mate, because I try and be truthful in everything that I do. I seen that yesterday, Shadow Fade. Sorry, you said you asked out your crush and she said yes. There you go, mate. W's all the way. Well played. Well played, mate, and I hope it goes well for you as well. Do I think Shaqiri would save us this Sunday? Shaqiri's a good option, absolutely. If Klopp wants to stick with the system that we've seen recently, with Salah not being available, and he has confirmed as being unavailable now, folks, after having tested positive again for a second time. Not that that was going to make any difference because he was ruled out anyway, but now he could potentially miss 3 games. But, we'll talk about that in another time. Getting back into the situation with Shaqiri, yes, he could very well come in and play a pivotal role in this game. Will Shaqiri maybe play in that attacking midfield role behind? Will he give Takumi Minamino a chance? I mean, you'd imagine Jota, Mane and Bobby Firmino are nailed on to start, but then it's just a matter of who takes up that third midfield position. Shaqiri is a good option and probably the one that I would look to, yes. I mean, if not, he's a very good sub to bring on in the game. I probably expect us to see Curtis Jones take up that position for the game against Atalanta during the week, on Wednesday actually. I expect Curtis Jones to play in midfield for that game. Again, what I would say to Liverpool fans watching is, don't buy into any conjecture or don't buy into any of the if, ands or buts or any of the unproven stuff that's put out there on social media, because some people looking to make a name for themselves with a lucky guess, other people just wanted Liverpool to be down even more players and trying to spread negativity and trying to just push it around their club. Just don't buy into it, folks. Just keep calm, trust in the manager and just work with facts. That's what I try and do anyway.